So I guess we just want to call the month of May Menace to Society Month because between the Smokey Robinson situation that is possibly the curveball of the year and where we are right now with the Diddy trial, it, it has been an interesting week. I'm Mr. Fox, the RFU's podcast. Welcome to the end of May morning show. This is your first time here. We've been covering, for the most part, the Diddy trial this month. That's the elephant in the room. The circus, the performance, the revelations so far in the trial. But before we get to that, a couple of housekeeping items. You know, just got done watching the Keisha Cole Breakfast Club interview. It's the 20th anniversary of her debut album, which is crazy to even say. But moreover, I'm at this point, I'm starting to realize that maybe it's not just with the mess, it's Lauren with the mess. Ever since she was saying everything and nothing outside that courthouse of the Diddy trial, where a lot of y'all were saying she was essentially defending Diddy, and the way she carries on the Breakfast Club, where it's like we could have a substantial, meaningful conversation around the guests, someone as iconic as far as contemporary R&B like Keisha Cole, and here come Lauren talking about, oh, well, this social media moment happened, and we want to address that. We're at a point in the interview where we're talking about Lifetime movies, the reality show, legacy stuff, and you want to talk about the perception that she's still questioning over YN dudes. That girl just continues to bring that TMZ shit. It's just like it's a totally different speed over here. Like we're talking about some real stuff. We're talking about careers, people of influence, people of impact. And here you come with your TMZ energy. Anyway, moving on. Justin Bieber still looks like he doesn't want to be home. But now that his wife is fit to make probably close to $500 million, I believe that's take home pay from her makeup or skincare line, he probably will want to be home more. Also, what we got, apparently, y'all will not stop. And when I say y'all, not us, but them, with the foolishness. This white girl is going to be putting out a line of bar soap that consists of her used bath water. Now, but you know who's going to buy that? People that don't wash below their knees. Not us. No, ma'am. Not us. Not over here. So, getting into the Diddy trial, this is the main course of the morning show. We're going to pick up where we left off with our day 10 video. So, at some point, Capricorn Clark finished her testimony. I believe she was up there for a great while. Capricorn Clark being one of several former Diddy assistants who there is clearly at this point an indication that with some professional roles, the lines are blurred and not just the strippers being pulled into prostitution, but also you have administrative assistants, staff assistants, people that are doing a list of umbrella roles for minimal pay that initially they're like, oh, this is a role of a lifetime. Like we get to work with the man behind Bad Boy Records, behind the remixes of my childhood. This is the fame and the celebrity aspect is what attracts me to this role, right? But during even the probationary year, you're like, this is giving something I'm not used to ever. You know, that probationary year, which is a 12 months, some of these assistants have gone through hell. Like, I learned from George Kaplan that in addition to the traveling and coordinating and setting up stuff and making sure your boss is good to go, you're now doing hotel duties, setting up for freak offs, baby oil, possibly handling drug paraphernalia. Then you get to Mia and you get to even other makeup artists like Deonte, where you are in the passenger seat, first-hand experience, third-hand experience of not only witnessing the abuse that Cassie endured or being the confidant like Capricorn was for a little bit. And with their awareness, they're like, we probably shouldn't be doing this, or this will probably piss them off even more. Let's be on the low about this. To you are a female that is there to be his assistant. You are having things thrown at you. You are experiencing firsthand this man's rage. That's most days like a light switch. Other days you're like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And in the back of your mind, like other assistants, you're like, this, I got to keep in mind positive reinforcement. This is a role of a lifetime. This is a big name in the industry. This will look good on my resume. Like you got to think about it. Like remember the time you were like, I don't know, an intern, or you got a connection or a access to a role by way of being an alum or a college student. Oh, this is gonna be great. This will look good on my resume. And there's just this one person or a few people that just are creepy and weird, and they're creating an environment that is just not conducive to high morale and positivity and just being as productive and looking forward to coming to work as possible as you want to. There is an element of harassment. There's an element of being touchy feely under the dress, under the sweater, in a workplace environment during the course of your professional duties. And you endure a lot. You know, this is what we pulled from Mia's testimony, right? So I think Mia, that's the alias name. You got to understand there are some people, even though they're being called to testify, are going up there under a pseudonym. Because this dude is dangerous. Like, it's going on the record at this point in the trial that this man is very dangerous and gives people the willies, and people feel nervous. You know, this is a man that has what's been revealed this week so far is that this man has gone on film sets that Cassie has is part of the cast and doing her job, made other people nervous, the staff, the personnel. is trying to control how her hair looks, the way she comes off. And there's this energy about this guy that just is not good for the environment. That's another revelation that has come out between Capricorn and Mia. Oh, this guy's a trip. But you got to also understand that there's also collaboration happening at the same time. So last week, you know, the main event for the week was Kid Cudi. Um, Now, of course, George Kaplan did, I think, multiple days or extensive testimony. The week before that, I believe, the main event, of course, was Cassie initially. And then, there was a lot of gray area until her mom came up and testified. And I feel like she satisfied the racketeering. Now, keep in mind, while you may feel like, the abuse and the assault is not satisfying, and it's not what the purpose of this trial is, there's still a lot to digest. There's still a concept of 6 degrees of separation as far as this man. And there's, the intimidation, there's the fear, there is also multiple layers of abuse. They had a psychologist go up there as to why, that would speak to as to why abuse victims stay. And that's not limited to Cassie. That would be also extended to women employees, male employees. And please understand that there is a prominent level of cowardice. When George Kaplan got up there was a stark difference in experience, meaning that George Kaplan was not on the receiving end of physical violence. But the women assistants were, specifically Mia Clark. You had stuff thrown at you. You've had, even like Cassie's BFF, you've been pushed up against walls. Like, women have been pushed up against walls. Women have been choked out. Like, employees, BFFs. And this is just another layer also of manipulation. Like, even saying stuff on the fly or off the hip, like, if you do this, this will happen. This is all coming out, and this is all related to the other concepts that we've talked about. So I would say at this point in the trial, which they believe they're actually ahead of schedule, and it may be ending probably a week or so early. That Mia is probably the most abused woman, or the most abused woman, employee, and like, you had stuff thrown at you. There was another instance she had mentioned on the stand where during a time that she was at his house, because that was the other thing, Diddy would have his employees stay at one of his houses or at his very house, and they were not allowed to lock or keep a lock on the doors, bedroom, bathroom, wherever they were staying. Only security guards could. Interesting. But there was at some point after that, she said on the stand that she was doing something on the floor. I think folding clothes or doing something of a personal nature to assist him. And this motherfucker came around and used her mouth and went on about his business. Now, for those of you that are like, why didn't you leave? Or this or that. Go back to what the psychologist said. Like, could you imagine? I couldn't. Because first of all, there is I don't know how it is in celebrity world, um, non-union, because really there is no protection when you are a regular person with maybe 4 years of high school, a couple years of undergrad, and you bust your ass off as an intern in the celebrity world. You don't have like a union or a representatives speaking on your behalf, saying, this is the framework for this role as your personal assistant. And there probably may have been like a little part of me and all these other folks that work for this man that didn't think anything of it. Oh, it's probably cool that we'll be staying at Diddy's house. But as time goes on and you're listening to this, you're like, this dude was really just using people, this term tickles me, willy nilly, and just going on about his business. And I would imagine, even theorize, that he was probably high the entire time. So it is, could you imagine though? You're like folding clothes, or you're going through paperwork on the floor, or you just packing a suitcase for this dude. And you got a dick in your mouth and you got a dick in your face, like, sir, and you already not paying me enough. But at some point society just conditions us to invest in the potential or the back end of an opportunity. We don't go into these things thinking, oh shit, we about to be aligned with a weirdo. But here's where the line kind of, well, still connects the thread through the trial, as we go from week to week. When time came this week to get with or pull in the police department and the fire department, the last video when I had Abstract from Usual Suspects podcast to discuss day 10, you know, the the honorable guest was Capricorn, but when they got to Officer Ignacio, it was very, very interesting because Abstract and I discussed the Molotov cocktail that was used to burn up Kid Cudi's car. And she said in the video that, they tried to say, or the word on the curb was that it was a female that did it and it wasn't Diddy. And I said, Oh, that's probably just another stunt by Diddy to kind of, throw everybody off. Because I'm still 10 toes down with the belief that when it's too much of a coincidence, it's too much of a convenience. It it, is there's some truth to it. For just because his fingerprints may not be on the bottle itself, for that to happen and then not the burglary, but the break-in to happen. And you think, oh, at the time, oh, this can't be no big thing. Capricorn Clark had a detail that she brought up on the stand about being in a black Escalade with security detail and being near Kid Cudi's house, which was further confirmed by Detective Ignacio this week, who he was the one that responded to the call, right? Now, mind you, Kid Cudi has, at the time, a dog. Kid Cudi had mentioned on the stand that said dog was in the house and that there was also wrapped gifts inside the house, possibly near the front door, right? Now, while you may not have Diddy on security cameras at the house, when Detective Ignacio answers the call that comes in December of 20, what was it, 20, December of 2011, and he goes to respond to it with a partner of his. He knows this is a black Escalade, and at some point, he gets the plate, sees that the door is ajar, sees that there are unwrapped gifts, and that there's a dog locked in the bathroom, agitated and jumpy. Okay. Comes back out. That same black Escalade is driving past the house roughly 5 to 10 miles an hour, very, very slowly. Runs the plate. The plate doesn't go back to Sean Combs. It doesn't go back to his mother. It doesn't even go back to Cassie. The plate goes back to Bad Boy Records. Keep in mind, folks, this is a federal racketeering case. This is also a human trafficking case. That detail, in addition to what Capricorn said during her testimony, that she was in there in the SUV with the security detail. Her part alludes to kidnapping, because what are we doing? But also the plate going back to Bad Boy Records. You are using resources, the truck and the security detail, to facilitate, intimidate, run down, whatever, on folks close to your personal life. Kid Cudi being opposition, competition. Now, you may not have a smoking gun as far as Diddy's there, but you don't need to see the main person to satisfy them. You know, Rico continues to be a hard lift to a hard charge to prove. But when you have all these people on the stand and things are starting to match and dots are starting to connect, it's the networking piece. Now, maybe later on, next week, week after that, they'll call the bodyguards. Like I have they have they called? Are they going to call the bodyguard that he had from 2005 2010, the one that's been talking on Vlad? Oh, great detail, great detail, great memory as to who and the what and what happened. That will be the day. That will be that'll be another main event. So that was huge, very very huge. You are using record label resources and your detail to facilitate the commission of a crime, which is breaking into other people's houses. There's no way you can justify that. It's not your house. And I don't know if they even revealed whose fingerprints those were on the bottom, if they weren't his. Could they have been Capricorns? Could they have been Mia's? Could they have been Kim? No. They couldn't have been Miss Porter's. But yeah, huge, huge explosive detail revelations this week. I mean, aside from the biggest thing is that this man is a menace to work for, to be the paramour of. There's just no way. So you can't even you can't be his assistant. You can't even get through a single workday without being violated in some form or fashion. But also, these poor makeup artists. You know, this Deonte guy having been a third wheel or a third party to, if not the very abuse that Cassie has gone through, being a witness to that, but also trying to intervene and interject and realizing, oh, that your life too is also in danger. You know, during the course of what they say abusing Cassie to where she's bleeding from her face, from being knocked up against headboards and walls, and being attacked outside of the front door of the house. You jump in, you and other employees, and it hits you that you are seeing the dark side of this man. Very, very scary. And there's a lot of trauma, PTSD, anxiety that comes from that. Because one thing I know, having worked for and having worked with Scorpios, they hate being challenged, they hate being questioned, they hate pushback. And there is this other level of madness that comes out of them when you match that energy. It, it's crazy. Very, very crazy. But Deonte, the makeup artist, very much a diva in the making. When cross-examined, he when the defense team intentionally kept referring to her as Miss Ventori, he was like, "You mean Mrs. Pine?" I was like, "Okay, clock that. Like we gonna respect the victims." And then they go they try, the defense's role is to try to trap and trip up people during the cross examination. And he was on them. Didn't skip a beat, course corrected, reaffirmed, and kept it pushing. Definitely a character similar to the one that was in the YSL, um, part of the YSL case, when they were trying to nail Young Thug to the wall and unsuccessfully was able to. Similar, where it's like the short amount of time you're up there, you are making it memorable for the rest of us. Love that. So, Tuesday through Thursday of this week, the end of May, this Diddy trial has entered its entertaining phase and very much keeping the thread alive to what the point of the trial is for is to get this man on racketeering, federal racketeering, and human trafficking. For those of you that are just lost in the sauce. So that's where we are with that. I'm loving every bit of it. You know, we are up to, let's see, today is day 14. Day 10 was Friday, 11 was Tuesday, Wednesday was 12, 13 was yesterday, Thursday, and 14 is today. So we'll see who they called today. Not really sure. So far, they've called this week members of the LAPD and members of the LAFD, the fire department. Um, so they're going to keep the threat alive, and they're ahead of schedule, so to speak. So we may be reaching the finish line of this trial soon. Where it stands, my review as far as defense or prosecution performance this week, I think the prosecution is got the upper hand this week. Of course, it may go back and forth from week to week, but right now the prosecution is taking it. The prosecution has got a couple of more points on the scoreboard, so to speak, in my opinion. And we'll keep it pressed. But yeah, before I get up out of here, I really want a lot of people, particularly the young folks, to really decondition themselves from when they're out here looking for jobs and they have this opportunity to get with a celebrity. Do some vetting. Do a lot of vetting. Just like you could, I feel like just like you can get uh, a Carfax on the car before you agree to anything. Do some pull some references, and you can do that shit anonymously. You could just like y'all could use social media to research like white Karens and shit. Do the same thing with some of these celebrities, because with all the shit that's come out about Diddy, uh, from the former employee, and former personal assistant testimony, sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze. It's just not. I don't care if I start off with 50,000 a year and it gets to 70,000 a year, and I essentially built Revolt, was doing most of the work with little pay, and I at some point make 100,000 a year. It's just to have shit thrown at you and to be around abuse and be violated and stuff. And then when I talk about it on the stand under oath, there's pushback then. It's just not worth it, yo. It's just not worth it. This is Miss Fox I Refuse podcast. Thank you for joining the show. Follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel in case you forgot what that looks like. Bam. You see this? The subscribe button is right here. This is the I Refuse podcast YouTube channel. Here are the live shows I've done so far, trying to keep that a regular thing, to keep y'all entertained while we produce more shows for the season. Of course, we have over 200 videos, and we've been keeping it locked and loaded. Sometimes we have special shows. Keep in mind the content over here is not the same. For the most part, it's the content on the I Refuse podcast, where you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Overcast, iHeartRadio, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Anchor, Spotify. That's the address, the web address to the YouTube channel. We've been here since February 2020. Let's get these numbers up. Let's get these views up. Let's keep loving original content creation by Black queer content creators. Don't have to wear a wig. Don't have to be a particular character. It's just me and a mic and my think pieces. Like, look at this. Surviving Diddy alone. We have been doing it since when, y'all? Oh yes. So a year ago, we broke it down. Surviving Diddy, and then we went to Surviving Diddy 3, because we did Surviving Diddy 2 on the other side of the podcast. We kept it going since a year ago. Like, we've mixed in with other things talking about, but very much active. Surviving Diddy still, like, it just keeps cracking and keeps going. Surviving Diddy 4, Surviving Diddy 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, so very consistent, very locked in, very committed. You're not going to find that from any other podcast. You're not going to find the passion and the commitment to having conversations and having the forum to have those conversations around things that matter most. You're just not going to get that anywhere else. And yes, it is a book. So this is Miss Fox I Refuse podcast. Follow and subscribe to the I Refuse podcast. We've been active since early 2020. Also get into Usual Suspects podcast, featuring myself, Mr. Fox, with Abstract, my lovely co-host on the podcast over there, and still a guest on the I Refuse podcast. She's been a guest on the I Refuse podcast pretty much since the beginning. I want to say season 1, early season 2, and the engagement and the response has been great. Hence why we spun off into our own show. No one else makes me active on the podcast more than that girl. And the chemistry is palpable. You can feel it, you can smell it, you can sense it, you can wear it. And she'll continue to be around. And I will continue to be around. So we will catch you guys later. Follow, subscribe, like I said. The content will keep coming. We will catch you guys later. Peace.